Folks, welcome into SportsbookReview.com. It's Football Friday here once again on SportsbookReview.com. We are the National Football League team. Myself, Donnie RightSide, Donnie Seymour, whatever you want to call me. It's holiday weekend. It's up for grabs. Also with the DF Bachelor, you can call him that, or you can call him by his government name, Kyle Purviance. We're here to talk a little bit of topics as we do each and every Friday before the party starts. Kyle, let's have some fun today.
Yeah, I'm excited. And nothing makes me happier than get to rip in on Daniel Snyder on our first topic. So it's going to be a great time. 4th of July weekend. I certainly hope everyone has a fun, happy, and safe 4th of July. Things are a little opened up, so it should be a little more fun this year. I'm excited to let it rip on some football, and it's Friday, so we get a couple days off. All sorts of good things happening today on the football show.
No, it certainly is. And thank you guys for all the love and support. All the shows that we do across the channels have so much doing it. Well, it's NBA, soccer, college basketball, college football, NFL football, Major League Baseball. It's all here for you guys, and we certainly love to talk about it. But we do have some topics that we like to keep the people up to date on, because before we know it, Kyle, we are going to be kicking off with the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football to open the season. But one of those topics that comes up all the time, I've done a lot of content in my life, and I've done a lot of content about Daniel Snyder. The fact that the NFL now comes out, as we take a look here, and with a monster fine of 10, it doesn't mean anything to billionaire owners. It means absolutely nothing. Here's the thought process, because we're going to spend a couple minutes on dissecting the Washington football/Redskins football team. Maybe they'll pick a team name, but I guess it's hard to pick a team name, Kyle, when all you do is harass and, get after women in the workplace for 25 years, and the NFL comes down and goes like this. Don't do it again.
Yep, exactly. And, hey, how about a name for this? We already have a hockey team out in Nashville with this name. How about the Washington Predators, right? Doesn't it fit perfect? Just boom, throw it up. You've already got the culture. I mean, it's money in the bank. And the fine's a joke. That's like fining you and I $5. It really is. And then to add insult to injury here, they follow the same trend they had with the Spygate situation with the Patriots when they deleted all the tapes. They're not even going to allow the commissioned written report from the investigator to come out. They're absolutely protecting what happened here with this Washington football team. They've already let them get away with not naming their team. It's an absolute joke of a franchise. And the sad part is they're going to have a nice product on the field this year, in my opinion. That defense is really, really good. I like the addition of a veteran quarterback. They added young receivers to go along with Terry McLaurin. They've got the young running back in Antonio Gibson. By all accounts, just looking at it on paper, this Washington team should be really, really good. And then you look at them, and I mean, I wouldn't trust Daniel Snyder to run an In-N-Out burger, let alone a football team. And they just let him get away with it. And women are pissed. I don't blame them. Their fans are pissed. I don't blame them. The shame on the NFL. They always get this wrong. When's the last time we're like, good job, NFL? You really got this one right. They did a horrible, horrible job. That fine should have been 100 times more what it is. He should have been. I mean, if you look at the NBA, if Daniel Snyder was an NBA owner, he's getting Donald Sterling right the hell out of the league. I know there's.
I don't know though. Mark Cuban gets in that same boat too down in Dallas.
That's
so,
true.
You can cross certain words, but also looking at Daniel Snyder here, true. Coming from decades of ridiculousness, coming from the old boys club in wherever Ashburn or whatever city that they actually have their headquarters in. Here's the issue all the way along. Now the NFL, there's a reason why they gave him a $10 million fine, didn't force him to sell. Why? It's not Roger Goodell. If Roger Goodell had his way, he's like, you know what? This isn't good for the league. You're out of here. But you know what? Some owners reach out behind the scenes to Roger. Hey, you throw him out for this. People are going to start looking at my franchise. They're going to look at Steve's franchise and Dave's franchise over here, and we're all going to have to sell because we've all had these things probably going on to some extent right under our noses here. But also taking a look at what they allowed Daniel Snyder to do, which is ridiculous. Did you see yesterday, like 3 days ago, Kyle? They actually put a story out, and I guess it was I want to say a PR firm, and everybody just ran with it. Daniel Snyder's wife is now the day-to-day person, and it's a female in that organization. Almost as like that was like something done on merit. Like, boy, she worked her way all the way up, and now she's an owner in the National Football League. The fact that he was almost going to lose his franchise, but then put his wife as a co-owner just in case something happened and he was suspended, it would still be in his control. And the fact that they played that off, that was some sort of like, hey, a woman now is moving up in the ranks in the NFL because now she's a co-owner. There's not many women co-owners. That was ridiculous in itself. But let's also take a look back over the past 3 to 4 years with the Washington Redskins, Kyle, and what they're allowed to do. Not because Daniel Snyder wanted to do this, as he makes you see. So they get caught with all this trouble. He's almost going to be forced to sell his team. So what do we start seeing now? More of a mixed front office where you're just hiring minorities out of the textbook of PR saying, they're going to get rid of me. I better hire minorities. Not to say they're not qualified for the job, but I need more of them than other people. I need more women now all of a sudden in my front office. I need a woman in the box to call the games on radio now, doing all these things. It's wonderful that inclusion can work in the National Football League, but Daniel Snyder doing this, Kyle, it's not because he wanted to. It's because he was going to lose his franchise at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's no integrity or character here whatsoever. It's not because there's no goodwill here. This just reeks of PR, and I think it's a really good point that you mentioned with Mark Cuban too. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're 100% right. And then they even got rid of their cheerleading squad, for Christ's sake. Like, this team is doing,
not because they want to, right? Like, it's because of like pressure. Like, I'm just trying to keep my franchise. You have a problem over here. Hire 4 girls for the front office. Another problem over here. Hire a few minority assistants over here. Oh my God, look at this. I'll put a woman in the booth. They can't get rid of me now. Look how inclusive I am here. And it's wonderful when it's done the right way. But the fact that they're allowing Snyder to do this and say, well, look at the changes he made, Kyle. He didn't want to make these changes. He would have made them over the last 20 years.
Exactly. There's no sincerity whatsoever. It's so ridiculous and lame. I'll be personally rooting against the Washington football team. I'm sure I'll be betting a lot of unders on them, as a matter of, and it's just too bad because I love the product on the field. That's the problem. I love the head coach. I love that defense. I think the offense is going to be much, much better. But my God, at the top, what an embarrassment to the league. And this guy has been an embarrassment from day one, the way he ran this team. He has never ran this team well. Some of the most ridiculous free agent signings you're ever going to see. It is no shock to me that Daniel Snyder was doing all the crap he was doing behind the scenes. And I think you're right. I think a lot of owners are like, hey, let's make him the poster boy for this. Let's sweep this under the rug and get this out of the way. Because if it was more severe and they did find him, $100 million or $1 billion, force him to sell, take away draft picks, all those other owners, and Mr. Robert Kraft has a lot of pull up there in the front office. He was waiting with bated breath to find out what happens, because we all know what he's up to when he's traveling down there to Florida, and I can assure you it's not Bible study.
Now, here's the best part about it. You hit the nail right on the head. They're getting rid of the cheerleaders, which have been a staple institution in Washington since the team came into the league. They're not getting rid of it because it's like sort of sexist, right? They're getting rid of it because Daniel Snyder couldn't control himself around his team's cheerleaders. Go back and look at all the cheerleader issues that they had over the years. And a lot of it has to do with, VIPs of the franchise, where every team in the NFL typically sends their cheerleaders away at Cancun, the islands. They have a photo shoot. They make a big deal out of it. They raise money for charity. But Daniel Snyder's down here flying him and his friends down, having private, viewing parties for these things. And, let's watch them take their pictures and it's unbelievable this is able to happen. They said, all right, a $10 million fine, pay us that, and you'll be able to be, or still around the franchise at this point. Getting rid of your cheerleaders, not because of we just don't like the way it looks. It's because your owner couldn't control himself around the cheerleaders, Kyle.
And he was trying to sell them to his friends. I mean, you saw the reports. I mean, it's as slimy and as grimy as it could possibly be. The fact that and they just don't even want the details to come out, that I would just be if you're one of the women who came out with a complaint and you're not even going to get to hear your voice heard, hundreds
of them, yes,
and not a single word gets to come out into public view because they just want to protect this guy, I think it says a lot about the NFL. And to me, it takes a lot of their credibility away. Because what does the NFL love to do? They love to pound us with, look at all these great things we're doing for minorities, and look at all these great things we're doing for women. Oh, but by the way, if one of our owners tries to sell one of our cheerleaders to his friend for $1 million, we're not going to do a damn thing about it. I see no conviction to any principle whatsoever. I think he's the most pathetic owner in sports right now. The NFL should be embarrassed, and I don't blame the outrage by the women. It'll be interesting to see what happens when it happens to the next team. And if I'm Robert Kraft, I'm keeping a very, very close eye on the situation, because I would not be shocked to find out there's very, very similar practices happening, not just in that organization, but every single one of them.
Now, there's two things I want to bring up here with the Washington football team in this aspect. The one that I think is like it's the same two-facedness, if we can use that word, coming from their front office, particularly Daniel Snyder. You go back and see the interviews just a few years ago. No way, shape, or form I'm ever going to change the Washington Redskins name as my organization. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be here the same. So then what do the lawmakers do in the Delmarva Peninsula, basically? So it'll be Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. They go, hey, Dan, you don't change it. We're giving you $0 for your new stadium. So what does he do? Guys, I listen to everybody. It's the right thing to do now to change to every single thing. He has no backbone or spine, and everything is either about money, motivation, or power in this instance here. And you're right. Hundreds of people came forward. And the best part about the NFL is you're telling me it probably cost millions of dollars to go through. Whoever paid for this, probably Snyder had to pay for it out of his own pocket and probably had a lot to do with like how it actually came out. But the fact that the NFL goes, we're not going to release a report, Kyle, because we only commissioned an oral report to come back to us. So there was no paper trail. You can't make this up. You really can't.
It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it that they're. But then I just thought back, the NFL has a history of doing this. They just sweep it under the rug. They don't want anybody to know. It's the old boys club. It's going to continue to be that way. And as far as if you're an NFL owner right now and you're behaving in the same way, why on earth would this discourage you from doing that? So I just think they made the problem worse, and I can't wait for it to happen because they deserve it. They deserve everything they get right now. And I absolutely am on the side of all of those women in this instance and everyone who's outraged by this because they absolutely should be. And of all the people to protect, Daniel bleeping Snyder, are you kidding me? What good has he ever done for anyone other than himself? The answer is none. So for me, it's hard to wrap my brain around it. I don't know why they thought this was okay to do. Maybe they thought $10 million seems like a lot of money to people now. But I think they're insulting the intelligence of a lot of people, and it's certainly a slap in the face to women across this country.
Yeah, Blood, put it under the rug. Hopefully it goes away. $10 million. And hey, look, all the good things he did. He even made his wife co-owner. Congrats. For some reason, Kyle, he didn't want his wife for the last 25 years to be co-owner. But now all of a sudden, hey, it's the right thing to do at this moment. So we spent enough time here talking about Daniel Snyder and all the nonsensical stuff going on down in Washington. We'll see if they get a new team name so we can actually call them by an actual team name when we start breaking these games down come late August and September. Let's slide it down here. Cowboys, Jaguars, and 49ers are asked to pay up, which always makes it funny to me as well. But like, who drops the dime? Because it's the players, right? Like, hey, man, coach made me run 3 gassers, and that's against the CBA right now. So the teams that got fined, the Jaguars were fined $200,000, and Urban Meyer fined $100,000. So they're the lead dog here. So typically Urban Meyer, like going around here, Kyle, like, no, wait a second here. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted, whatever college I went to, and now you're telling me like I can't, let these guys have Oklahoma drill in the middle of an OTA session. 49ers fined $100,000, Shanahan fined $50,000, and then also your favorite coach in the NFL and organization, the Cowboys, fined $100,000 and $50,000 apiece. And look at this. You ready for this one? Here's how they got the Cowboys, right? The Cowboys are ordered to forfeit 1 OTA practice during the first week of the 2022 NFL season. Ooh, that'll show them, Kyle.
I'll never do it again. I will never. First of all, is there any surprise that the dumbest coach in football is one of them that got caught? Of course. Mike McCarthy's not smart enough to cover anything up. Of course that idiot got caught. Urban Meyer, that doesn't shock me. This dude hasn't followed a rule. Urban Meyer is the slimiest college coach of all time. Urban Meyer was the guy having Aaron Hernandez over to his house for Sunday brunch, knowing damn well what he was up to. And then I can't believe that he's a serial killer. Of course you knew he was. Urban Meyer is such a piece of crap. He's my least favorite coach ever. Just in terms, this guy, I would if I had a daughter, I would never ever send her to a college where Urban Meyer is the head coach, because I know for a damn fact he'll let the players do whatever the hell he wants and help them cover it up. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he was breaking rules, and he was breaking them to the grossest extent, because you're right, he just got away with whatever the hell he wanted to in college. I hope that's a short-lived stint there in Jacksonville, because I do want Trevor Lawrence to succeed. It's kind of a fun team to sort of root for. And then I touched on Mike McCarthy. Complete moron. So of course he's going to get caught. Like, if you think Mike McCarthy's going to be sneaky or smart enough to get away with anything, I've got some magic beans to sell you. You can buy them. It'll take you right up the beanstalk, and you can get all the gold you want. The one that was surprising are my 49ers. Now, I know Kyle Shanahan wants to win, and John Lynch, they're intense competitors, but Kyle Shanahan's one of the smartest, if not the smartest mind in football right now. So for him to sort of get caught up in this was a little bit surprising to me, but hey, we just traded all this capital to move up and get a quarterback number 3. We've got an injured Jimmy Garoppolo. We got to do everything we can to get this kid ready. So I'm wondering if that was some of the motivation there for some of that extra work for the 49ers.
Yeah, there's always a lot of technicalities that go in. Also, let's remember Urban Meyer didn't get off on the greatest foot here in the NFL. Gets the monster contract, and one of the first hiring he makes is to bring in the strength coach, who I believe got fired from Iowa for way too many ethnic jokes against African Americans. So that didn't start him out. We're like, oh, what do you mean? When I say I hire somebody, nobody questions it, and now you're questioning my hiring practices. So we'll see how Urban Meyer gets it right. But obviously his first year, and also, like, hey, maybe it's not the greatest idea to cause a big storm in camp by bringing Tim Tebow into camp. I'm bringing Tim Tebow in, and he's going to compete for a position. Smart business move, obviously, because you get teams talking about, or you get the press talking about the worst football franchise in football. Well, they're not that bad. Yes, last year they were the worst football franchise. That's why they got the number 1 overall pick. So Urban Meyer not getting off on the best first foot, as we like to say. 49ers latest quarterback updates here, Kyle. Not much going on in OTAs, but we can segue right when you're talking about here. I think you're trying to get Trey Lance up to speed, but this is Jimmy by a wide margin. It's like Secretariat, winning the Triple Crown. Like, you ain't touching Jimmy G. He's going to be the starting quarterback week 1, and I do think that's going to help out as well, Kyle. I don't think you're ready as a San Francisco 49ers franchise to hand the keys over to a young quarterback when you have playoff, quote-unquote, Super Bowl aspirations this year.
Absolutely, and it goes twofold. Number one, right now, he clearly gives the 49ers the best chance to win. He knows the system. We've seen him when he's healthy, that one season, that one unicorn season where he's actually healthy. We go to the Super Bowl. He's 24-8 as a starter. He needs to be the quarterback, but for the other reason, which I think is the more important reason, he needs to stay healthy and play well because we need to up his trade value. The bottom line is you didn't trade up to number 3 to take Trey Lance for him to sit on the bench for 2-3 years. They're going to want him to be their quarterback next year. And it would be nice if Jimmy Garoppolo comes out and plays well, where you could trade him for a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a package of picks. If he's hurt week 2 and he's not their quarterback, or they just say, you know what, screw it, we love what we see out of Trey Lance, Jimmy G's going to be our backup, his trade value plummets. This is all about keeping the perception of Jimmy Garoppolo high, keeping him healthy, increasing that trade value. So when you go into 2022, you're getting some of those picks back that you traded away to go up and get Trey Lance.
Absolutely. Also, moving over to people getting paid in the NFL, Ryan Ramczyk, right tackle here for New Orleans, cashing in big time. And I got to tell you, when this news story first broke, sometimes you're away from football for a little bit, like, oh, yeah, left tackle getting paid. And then I realized a right tackle is making this amount of money in football, which is amazing. And also, wasn't it too long ago we're like, hey, if we can't sign Drew Brees or he's not coming back, we're way over the cap. Come on now. If your owner's got that bankroll out there and says, I can afford to splash down 60 to 70 million right now for a signing bonus, you can sign whoever you want in the NFL. Kudos there for New Orleans. And also, we could talk about, obviously, the big payday here, but looking at the New Orleans Saints here, Kyle, moving forward, I know there's a lot of talk here, and now a minus 200, I believe, for Jameis Winston to be the starting quarterback week 1 over Taysom Hill, which I do agree with. So, 1, Ramsey gets paid. Number 2, for you, Kyle, looking at who should be the starter opening day in New Orleans, for me, no question about it. Just keep the same roles here. Let Jameis start. He's going to be able to open up the offense. Hopefully he learned his issues there with turning the football over in Tampa Bay. But number 2, I like Taysom Hill in that role he plays. Why mess it up?
Exactly. That's exactly right. You're going to see both of them on the field together plenty. Taysom Hill's going to have the opportunity to throw the ball. But when you look at Jameis, he's not the most mobile of quarterbacks, so you do want to protect him. They have Teron Armstead on the other side, who's one of the best left tackles in football. This is the final year of his contract, so unless they franchise him, they're going to have to give him a boatload of money. The interesting part was this deal somehow, even though it was so big, did clear up some cap space for them this year. I think they only had $5 or $6 million left on the cap. They can certainly use a veteran wideout on the outside opposite of Michael Thomas. There's some, they lost a few pass rushers this year in free agency, but you are going to want Jameis Winston protected. This guy is not going to be running for first down. So you now have probably the best tackle tandem in the league in Armstead on one side and Ramczyk on the other. That draft, by the way, when you look at in the draft when they took Ramczyk, they also took Armstead, Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore. All of these guys are getting paid. The Saints are going to find themselves in salary cap hell. Let's not forget, too, they're also paying both Winston and Taysom Hill, 10 million plus per year to be quarterback 1A and 1B. But I agree with you. It'll be Jameis Winston starting. It would make no other sense. Otherwise, you're paying $12 million for a guy who won't be on the field. You start Jameis, you have them both on the field, and you have a wide array of options on that offense. That's going to certainly look different without Drew Brees throwing 3-yard passes to Alvin Kamara all day long. They're going to need that running game. Securing those tackles, I think, is the right move. It's kind of weird that it's a right tackle. You don't really think of that as a premium position in the NFL. But when you look at the Saints, that offensive line is going to be one of the best in football and certainly the best tackle duo in football.
Yeah, team didn't miss a beat when Drew Brees missed a couple games here over the past few years with his various amount of injuries. And I actually think they are going to be a better offense. I know it's hard for a lot of people to say, well, wait a second, Drew Brees, Hall of Famer, how are they going to be a better offense with him leaving? Trust me, when you can open up the field and actually take deep shots 50 to 60 yards down the field, that opens up for everybody, including Alvin Kamara. So it will be interesting to watch how that season goes over. But they're saying all the right things. Like, hey, Taysom Hill's right in there. I can't imagine Jameis Winston's going to lose a starting job to Taysom Hill. Look, Taysom Hill's a very good athlete, but they have such a unique situation down there. Why mess it up? Keep Jameis there. Run the packages for Taysom. I think everything else works well. And if Jameis Winston gets hurt, you can plug Taysom Hill right in or vice versa. So I don't think they have any issues there. Just keep it on the up and up. Put Jameis Winston out there, score some points out here. Defensive Rookie of the Year this year. This is always an interesting one because it's very hard for, let's just say a regular linebacker, as I like to say, or a safety or a DB to win Rookie of the Year. Number one, they're usually overmatched right off the bat. Remember Jeff Okudah? Oh, best draft pick I ever seen, coming in at number 3 for the Detroit Lions. And it's like at the end of the year, like, dude, should he even have been a draft pick at all? I mean, I know he's talented. He'll probably get it together, but it's very hard for the transition to be a dominant cornerback rookie year in the NFL. So where do we usually look, Kyle? Pass rushers. It's easy, right? Hey, just get after the quarterback, get 8 sacks, you'll be in the running for it. So we take a look at the favorites here. Micah Parsons, plus 500 on Dallas. Jalen Phillips, defensive end for Miami, who got drafted out of Miami to Miami, plus 700. Jamin Davis, plus 800. Kwity Paye, plus 1,000. So it goes down the list. But the main guys up there, Parsons, Phillips, and Davis. Now, there's one discrepancy from all 3 of these teams, right? One is a Dallas Cowboy. One is going to be on Hard Knocks. One is going to be talked about by Jerry Jones every single week. And if he has like 5 sacks, they're going to consider him the next Charles Haley, the next, dominant pass rusher that we've ever seen, DeMarcus Lawrence, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to get that Cowboys hype. But if I'm looking at today and say, who can it be? Honestly, it probably is Micah Parsons, right? Or maybe Gregory Rousseau, Buffalo, if he can get like 8 or 9 sacks in that nasty defense. But you get that Cowboys kick, right?
That's where I would go, is down to that Rousseau, that plus 1,600, the kid that Baltimore drafted away, where they're going to be putting at plus 2,000. So Micah Parsons is going to be a linebacker on a Dallas defense that's going to stink again. Let's just call it what it is. That defense is atrocious, and they're going to be atrocious again. So it's going to be really, really hard for a kid on a defense that's ranked in the bottom 7 or 8 in the league, and it could be even worse. I mean, if you look at last year, I haven't seen that many improvements on the Dallas defense, and I don't think one rookie linebacker is going to come in here and all of a sudden make this an all-world defense. So that's why I just throw his name completely out of the hat. I want if you look at those just 3 at the top, right? The Parsons, Phillips, Davis. Phillips, Miami's going to have a good defense. We know that. Ton of young talent, good corners on the outside, good linebackers. The Washington defense, I think, could be the best defense in football on paper right now when you look at it. But how much is he going to be used? That defense was already really, really good. They really didn't need another elite sort of linebacker. They have plenty of those in Washington. So for me, if I'm doing a futures on Defensive Rookie of the Year, the only one in the top 3 that I would consider would be Phillips out of Miami, went number 19, of course, to the Dolphins at plus 700, because you're right, edge rushers getting those sacks, especially on an elite defense and on a team that you expect to be in the playoff hunt. And then I just start moving down. Kwity Paye, I wasn't big on him coming out, and the Colts aren't a great pass rushing team, but you start getting down. Gregory Rousseau really stood out to me. That was going to be the name I mentioned, sitting there at plus 1,600. I like that quite a bit, and I don't even mind that edge rusher for Baltimore. Baltimore knows how to use linebackers. They know how to use rushers. That defense is always going to be in the conversation for one of the best defenses in the league. And they should be, by all accounts, if they stay healthy, looking at it now, in the playoff hunt and in the playoffs, probably should win that division, although Cleveland does look tough this year. So Odafe away at plus 2,000, Gregory Rousseau plus 1,600 is where I would focus my attention if I'm betting future defensive rookies of the year.
Now, as we talk some final thoughts here, I made this topic specifically just for you here because there's a lot of slander last week here on the network about Derek Carr and how well he could play. Now you have maybe the best wide receiver in football saying, Kyle, it'd be a dream to play with Derek Carr, man. Get me back involved. So are we going to reposition ourselves and say, you know what? Maybe Derek Carr's better than I thought he was.
No, I'm going to say maybe Davante Adams is dumber than I thought he was. What a complete idiot. So that's cool. You guys were college teammates and you enjoyed yourself. That's really, really neat. You played at Fresno State, okay? So first of all, you didn't play against any competition in college. That school's a joke. That conference is a joke. Pretty much all West Coast college football, and I live out here, is a joke. Trust me. You know how many times I've been excited to watch my Oregon Ducks and then they just get pounded by an SEC team because they're not man enough to hang. USC, whatever, UCLA. Like, Fresno State is the baby cousin. It's the cousin who doesn't get invited to the weddings on the West Coast. You think because you had some success at Fresno State with Derek Carr, it's going to happen in the NFL? Derek Carr is pure, unadulterated trash at the quarterback position. If you want your career to spiral downhill, I mean, do you think you're going to get 140 catches, 1,800 yards, and 15 touchdowns with Derek Carr as your quarterback? Again, I'll go back to this. I got those magic beans. If you're going to tell me that you think Derek Carr is a Pro Bowl quarterback who can elevate Davante Adams' career from what he's had with Aaron Rodgers, I've got these magic beans, $500 a pop. You plant them in the ground, you'll be meeting with the giant and bringing down pots of gold. It's the most ridiculous, stupid thing I've ever heard. No, it does not elevate Derek Carr. It just, for me, lowers the intelligence of Davante Adams.
I don't know. Derek and David Carr, royalty out there at Fresno State. Davante Adams, it's a dream to go play for the Raiders. But now maybe he has a point here, though. Maybe he's not talking about the quarterback saying, hey, look, I live in Green Bay now. I could get traded to Vegas. He is the best quarterback, Kyle. I would be a dream to go reunite, make this happen, because you're talking about change of scenery. Some of these guys like, I get to go to Vegas. Maybe something a little bit different here, Kyle.
Yeah, that makes sense. So but him asking it be a dream scenario that Derek Carr's throwing your passes, like, dude, you're going to be down 19-10 and he's going to be chucking balls 30 yards away, especially when it matters most. I don't know if I've seen a young quarterback choke more under pressure than I see Derek Carr do it. Yeah, Vegas, obviously, I've already talked about many a times how much I despise the state of Wisconsin. It's one of the worst states, if not the worst state in the union. And I certainly can't blame someone for trying to get away from a bunch of fans with stupid cheese hats on top of their head. But so Vegas, much funner city. I love Vegas, obviously. Wisconsin, not so much. So the only way that this is a smart move is just to get the hell out of Green Bay and go to a fun city where you can actually live your life.
There you go. Nice little weekly powwow here, keeping you updated on all topics NFL, Kyle. And, it's going soon. We've been doing this all off season, March, April, May, June, already into July. And I consider this, Kyle, also. July is football season to me because that's when training camps get underway late. We are not far away from, I know you're a big DFS guy, the machines start cranking up because I see the articles come out, but I'm not in football. I'm the biggest football guy you will ever meet. I'm not in football mode yet. So when they start turning, you start to see it on TV again. Then it flips into August. I mean, it's almost go time. And it goes so quick from September all the way through to the Super Bowl. And you say, what am I going to do with myself in the offseason? But here we are closing down the backstretch of the offseason. I can't wait for football season, especially with us here at sportsbookreview.com, Kyle. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I mean, look at it. We're like 2 months away from kickoff. I mean, it's not that long.
Amazing.
It's really, really, we're going to have preseason football here in 6 weeks. So it's coming. It's coming fast. And there's jokes for that, but I'll leave that for another time. Exactly. But no, I'm excited for football season. And look, about 8 more of these shows. Next thing you know, here we are. It's kickoff time. So
kickoff time. We're going to have Kelsey Kramer back on the show. Not whether or not we can bet on muted mic or not muted mic to start the show here. What jersey we're wearing. So it's all coming along here at sportsbookreview.com. You just wait. We will be back in gear. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to be slaying team totals all over the place once again this season on the shows. Kyle's going to be delivering the goods as well. So we are here for you at sportsbookreview.com. Thanks once again for joining us today. A lot of fun to talk some football. We'll be back next Friday again, hitting all the hottest topics of the week in NFL action. I'm Donnie Seymour, as Kyle Purviance. We're the sportsbookreview.com NFL team. Thank you for joining us on the show. Good luck on your future wagers out there in the NFL.